I'm going to show you how to manually update the operating system on this JNIOR Series 4. To do that, we need the JNIOR, a source of power, and a network connection. We can apply power to the JNIOR. You'll see that at boot. We can also connect the network and observe that we have a functional network connection. This JNIOR is ready to be updated. We'll need to communicate with it, and generally, in order to talk to it, we would need to know its IP address. But there is a tool that's available if you have that installed on your PC called the support tool. And that, if we start it up, will show us the IP address of the unit. This unit right here is the one we wish to update. You can see this one's already running version 1.5. We're going to update this one to version 1.4. We're going to do that manually too. In order to do that, we also need this UPD file. Now, the procedure is as such. We'll take this UPD file and we'll download it onto the JNIOR. Then we'll go into the command console on the JNIOR and have it perform the update. Procedure's not that difficult, but often it's not really obvious because we'll often provide things like an update project. Update projects combine a number of steps together, and we'll update a unit in a lot of the files on the unit and applications as needed. But today, we're only going to look at a manual update. So how do we get this file onto the JNIOR? It's pretty simple. Here, one of the tools is to open FTP, the File Transfer Protocol. Give the unit the password. That's the administrator unit. And we can see that we've opened an FTP connection to that unit. And here are the files on the root of the unit. This unit, by the way, is pretty clean. There's not much on it at all. In fact, it's bare bones. So, in the series of videos here, I'll show you what various things do. We can see here, though, there's a boot log and a system log that kind of details what's gone on historically with the unit during boot or overall as a system. Now, our goal is to put this JANOS file in this temp folder. Files in the temporary folder disappear when the unit reboots. So we just copy it in. And there it is in the temporary folder. Pretty much done with the file transfer. We can just close that. Now, we want to go into the command console, and one way to do that is through Telnet. So we see here we're talking to the JNIOR, and it's version 1.4. We want to update that to 1.5. And again, we need to log in. Okay, now just to verify, we can see that we in fact have the file that we uploaded in our temp folder. You can get more file details, went to lengthy, and there you go. And it was just uploaded today. How do we ingest that file and have the firmware update? It's a tool called JAR Update. We're going to use the JAR Update command. We're going to upload a file, firmware update, and then we'll reboot. The process is pretty straightforward. JAR Update temp. Now I could type temp here, T-E-M-P, or if you hit tab, the unit has a very nice function, tab again, of rolling through the files that you may have started to type. So it prevents you from having to sit and type everything out in detail. This is different. The Series 3 doesn't have that tab function. In this case, there's only one file in the temp folder, so if I hit tab again, it's blank, and I hit T, it comes back to that one. Similarly, where I started to type temp, I'd roll through the files in the root directory But since I started to type T, there was really only one thing that would meet that, and that was temp. So I say JR update, there's the file, and I'm going to do the update, update option. So update to version 1.5. Yes, Y, I typed the Y. Now this goes through a couple of steps. One is that it updates the Java class library. That update is immediate. As you can see here, the Java class library was updated. That's immediate. Then the OS will be completely updated when the Junior is rebooted, as you can read there. So basically, we're still running version 1.4, but 1.5 has been installed and will be updated when we repower. And one thing you don't have to do with the Junior is worry about losing power during the update. Pretty much that is taken care of by fault-tolerant firmware update procedure. So I'll reboot from the command line, reboot, yes. And we'll see over here at shortly that the unit will reboot. Takes a moment because it shuts down all applications running in 1.4 and gives a few seconds for anything specific to run. There, now we saw the reboot. And back over here, we're back up and running, and we're running on version 1.5. There you go. That's the update. Done. And as I mentioned before, anything in the temp folder is removed on reboot. That's the concept of temporary. And the temp folder and anything below the temp folder is considered temporary. So now we're running 1.5. So we can close this, and if we look over here, there we are. That unit's up, and it indicates that we're running 1.5. Now, there's other ways to achieve this, obviously, but the very basic process, and I'll review it, is to take a UPD file like this one, and to transfer it onto the Junior someplace. We recommend the temp folder since it won't be needed after you've done the update. You use the JR update command to load the file into the firmware cache and then reboot. When the unit comes back up, the operating system has been updated. We can go back into the command line at any time. We're still running the 1.5, of course. And we can do a stats command. And the stats command, interesting, will show us that we're running the July 13th build of version 1.5, and it has a saved OS of 1.4.0. In the help, we see that there was a rollback OS functionality. And you could use that. What occurs is the operating system will go back to the saved version 1.40 and drop the 1.5 that we loaded in. One thing that does not roll back is the Java class library. Generally, that's not an issue, but it's something to be considered. If you really want to roll the unit back to that previous configuration, then you likely want to use the version 1.4 UPD. Then it will overwrite the library with the version that was issued with version 1.4 and put you back at 1.4. But you could just roll back. Generally, it's not necessary to do that, but the feature's there because if something doesn't work right, the first thing you think of is, oh, I wish I could undo what I just did. That gives you that ability. You can also cancel a pending update if you do successfully use the JR update command, but decide that you don't want to reboot and have it update just yet. You can cancel the pending update. And there are a couple of options here that will allow you to use the command line and not have to answer the prompt or go afterwards and enter the reboot command. It'll just take care of all that kind of automatically for you. And there you have it. We've taken our junior and we've updated to version 1.5.